Hey everyone, welcome to this month's Serverless London meetup. Today we've got Takahiro from Japan talking about optimizing your AWS serverless bill. But before that, just want to give a quick shout out to Theodo and Senzo for sponsoring the event.
We have achieved automation and significant cost savings. Here are open source project we are maintaining. You may know it. Serverless Step Functions is a Serverless Framework plugin that allows you to manage AWS Step Functions with.
Hey, sorry, apparently you guys can't hear anything. I'm just going to restart the stream and see if that fixes it.
Using Serverless, the Serverless Operations Inc. And I'm open source lover. And I'm open source lover, created and maintaining some open source projects for helping developers of serverless space. Also, one of Serverless Meetup Tokyo Japan organizers team. Right now, we can't hold the meetup because of COVID-19, so we are moving virtual meetup for a 2-week period. Our company are providing consulting and development service of AWS serverless for many companies, mainly in Japan. Here is our recent bigger use case of consulting service. Lakeshell is a very famous company in Japan, which has a number of distribution centers in their logistics business. The project's purpose was to automate billing calculations for the distribution centers. We proposed to implement it with step functions and DynamoDB. As a result, we have achieved automation and significant cost savings. Here are open source project we are maintaining. You may know it. Serverless Step Functions is a Serverless Framework plugin that allows you to manage AWS Step Functions with using Serverless YAML file. Serverless API Gateway Service Proxy is also the Serverless Framework plugin that supports the AWS Service Proxy integration feature of API Gateway. You can directly connect API Gateway to AWS services without Lambda. Jeffy is Serverless application framework for Python, which is a suite of utilities for Lambda functions to make it easy to develop serverless applications. We have developed those open sources to improve the productivity of serverless developers. If you are interested in it, always welcome your feedback or pull requests. Okay, so here goes the main part. First topic is serverless cost really cheap? In general, introducing serverless may make costs cheaper. Let's take a look at how costs can be lower or higher in some cases. When telling the serverless beginners the benefits of serverless cost, I think the here comparison is overused. That says Lambda is cost optimized compared to EC2 because of pay-per-use billing model. The key point is just cost optimization, not cost reduction. It means that it is more optimized by charging for the time that computing resources are explicitly used without computing idle time. In other words, the cost savings does not always happen. Let's take a look at a more detailed example. Here is an example which is lightweight and low traffic workload like this. 20,000 requests per month, 0.5 average duration per request, 512 memory size. Let me show you comparing the cost of Lambda and EC2 in this case. The Lambda charges is calculated based on total computing usage, which is calculated based on memory size and execution time, and the number of requests. First, let me calculate the total execution time for a month. The number of requests is 20,000 and the execution time for each request is 0.5 seconds. So therefore, 20,000 multiplied by 0.5 equals 10,000 seconds, which is the total execution time. Then, 10,000 seconds multiplied by 0.5 gigabyte memory size equals 5,000 gigabyte seconds, which is the total computing usage. Since the computing usage charges is $0.0001667 per gigabyte seconds, the computing charges is $0.0335. Then, since request charges are $0.2 per million requests, $0.004 is the total request charges. As a result, the Lambda total charges for a month is $0.8375. On the other hand, the EC2 pricing model is simpler. Let me assume that the T3 micro instance can handle this traffic volume. The hourly rate of T3 micro is $0.014, so the total cost is $7.488. In conclusion, we can see that using Lambda is cheaper if traffic volume is low. On the other hand, let's take a look at a case which has a big traffic workload like this. It's 30 million requests per month, 0.5 average duration per request, 2048 memory size. Here is the cost calculation result. The EC2 cost is $69, but Lambda cost is as much as $506. we can see that Lambda cost is so expensive compared to EC2 if the traffic volume is big. In conclusion, generally speaking, the Lambda cost increases compared to EC2 cost because bigger workloads consume more computing resources of AWS infrastructure. Let's see how serverless cost looks like in case of other services. Let's look at comparing the cost of API gateway and application load balancer. Both of them have a feature that can be integrated in Lambda as entrance of API. This is what it looks like while traffic volume is low. API gateway is charged on a per request basis. API gateway allows you to choose API type between REST API, HTTP API, and WebSocket. And the per request cost is different for each type of API. In this example, the REST API is used, and the unit cost is $3.5 per 1 million requests. On the other hand, the ALB cost consists of hourly rates and load balancing capacity units called LCU. Similar to the cost comparison between Lambda and EC2, API gateway will most likely be cheaper while traffic is low. Let's see high traffic case. API gateway will most likely be more expensive compared to ALB because the cost of API gateway increases as the number of requests increases. This result might you think it would be better to choose ALB if you have high traffic volume. However, API gateway is a better choice in some respects. Some features of API gateway, like some options of authentication and authorization and request validation and usage plan, are not available in ALB. If you want to use those features, you should choose API gateway. Also, the initial setup is easier with API gateway than ALB. Here are configurations of API gateway and ALB with the Serverless Framework. If you use API gateway, you can deploy your resources with a few lines configuration. On the other hand, if you are using ALB, you have to define a listener setting before, so the configuration is much longer. The important thing here is the cost is just one dimension to choose AWS services you use. Next example is DynamoDB and Elasticache Redis. Although they have differences in their respective features, both are services that offer NoSQL database. First, let's take a look at the case of low traffic, as in the previous examples, and small storage usage. It's 3,500,000 writes and read per month, and the storage usage is 27 GB. Under this condition, DynamoDB cost is about $5 and Elasticache cost is about $100. We can see DynamoDB is very cheap. The pricing model of DynamoDB on-demand mode consists of consumed write capacity unit and consumed write read capacity unit and storage usage. Consumed write capacity unit is $1.25 per million. Consumed read capacity unit is $0.25 per million, and storage usage is $0.25 per gigabyte. Next, assuming the traffic of writes and read increases by 10 times compared to the previous example, and it's 500 storage usage. You can see that a serverless database DynamoDB is more expensive. However, just like the ALB and API gateway example, DynamoDB has advantages over Elasticache in several respects. In general, Elasticache will increase the engineering cost of operations. There is a need to decide an instance type before the production release. It will be important to do load testing for that. In addition, if you need to change the instance type or increase or decrease the number of Redis nodes after production release, you will need a plan on how to do it. If you use DynamoDB on-demand mode, all of those operations are performed by AWS side, so there is less work in operations. It's also a bit annoying for us to need a VPC for Elasticache. We need to consider the network design, and redundant configuration within the VPC is required to increase reliability in failure. With DynamoDB, those operations are performed by AWS, and we don't have to consider it. DynamoDB increases as traffic and data volume increases, but we cannot say DynamoDB is so expensive with considering the operational cost. So the concludes my talk on we have seen serverless will most likely expensive if the traffic or storage usage is big. However, there are some methods to reduce serverless cost. Now, so let's move on to talking about it. First, AWS offers some pricing models for saving serverless cost. Savings Plan is a service that promises AWS hourly usage of computing resources and gives you a discount price by continuing to pay for 1 or 3 years. Similarly, DynamoDB reserved capacity is also a plan that allows you to get a discount price by promising to AWS about the capacity unit usage in advance. If your serverless application will be run for a long period, it would be better to apply those pricing plans. Here are parameters that need to be determined for each service to work. However, they also affect cost as well, so you need to set the optimal values. There are several ways to determine it. First, here is a method that you use a specific tool. As you already know, AWS Lambda Power Tuning is an open source tool that determines the optimal values of Lambda memory size. You can see fetch settings is the best performance or fetch setting is the most cost effective by using step functions to run the target lambdas with various memory settings. There is also a way to determine the optimal value by performing a loading test. For example, If you want to determine the number of Kinesis shards, you can use a load testing tool such as Locust and apply an assumed traffic volume to your serverless application. Then you can know the optimal number of Kinesis shards by seeing getRecords bytes or getRecords iterator age millisecond metrics and so on of CloudWatch. Now that's a conclusion part. When considering the cost of system operation, it is important to consider the total cost of ownership. The cost will be tens of thousands of dollars if you want to hire one full-time engineer. The labor cost is probably higher than the AWS cost itself for many companies. Serverless will most likely expensive if the traffic or storage usage is big. However, adapting a serverless system eliminates a lot of operations that a software engineer would need to do. For example, that's instance sizing, failure operations and redundancy, security updates, and other maintenance tasks to the infrastructure. The important thing of serverless adoption is that it frees you from managing infrastructure and you can focus on the main part of your business logic. If you can think in this light, serverless adoption will optimize the cost of making your business a success. That's all the main part. Lastly, only a little, let me introduce you the serverless cost-focusing SaaS product we are currently making. As you know, I was talking that it's important thing to consider the TCO. But still, it would be better lower cost of AWS, right? The SaaS product is named Costless, and we will sell it on AWS Marketplace from about next month. Costless focuses on a serverless-centric architecture to help you visualize and optimize your AWS costs. Here are features of Costless. Although many features are in progress of development, I think the ability of forecast cost and recommendation of savings cost is product-specific features. Right now, we are looking for a beta partner to grow Costless. If you have a serverless application that is in production and pay a lot of money, you might want to become a beta partner. We will talk with you and be able to introduce features that can solve them into Costless. If you have interested in it, contact me, Horike at Serverless.co.jp. That's all. Thank you all for listening. It was a pleasure being here today. Thanks. Bye.
Thanks for watching, everyone. We've already announced our next meetup, so that's on the 4th of November, and we'll have John Fancy talking about Azure Logic Apps and hopefully a second speaker. But one last thing before we go, we have an exciting announcement. Theodo is looking for a serverless architect. So if you're interested, you're very passionate about serverless, you're interested in working hands-on with clients, and you'd like to work with the people that run this meetup, we've included a link to the job description on the event page.